Hi guys, this is Android Nub, and here are the best semi-casual Android games of 2014 Part 2. First up we have Demonrock War of Ages, published by Crescent Games. This is a pretty interesting castle defense game. The graphics are pretty good. You control a character and you can summon units. The goal is to destroy the enemy castle, although it's not actually a castle, but it's the same concept. There are a lot of levels to go through. You can upgrade your character and unlock new units, like Dragon Ball. It's a cool game to check out. Next up we have Smash Bandits Racing, published by Hutch Games. This is a really cool driving game where you can smash everything in your way. The graphics look really good and the gameplay is very smooth. You control the car by dragging your finger behind the car, and you can control which direction to move with your finger. There's a mode where you just smash stuff to make money, including police cars. You can ram into them to destroy them, and you can use your money to upgrade your car and buy new cars. There's also race mode where you can race against other cars. Overall, this is a super fun driving game. It also has nice physics. Next up we have Abyss Attack, published by Chillingo. Here's a very visually stunning, top-down, side-scrolling shooter. It's one of those shooters where you go upward and kill enemies. The graphics in this game are really nice. The game takes place underwater and you shoot at these like coral or plant stuff. There's power-ups and boss battles, and you can collect gems to upgrade your ship. A really nice looking top-down shooter. Next up we have Heroes of Atlan, published by WeMade Entertainment. Here's a cool kind of casual RPG. When you start out, there's 3 different classes, and male and female.
Intriguing.
The combat in this game is automated and turn-based, but you can collect new characters to add to your party, and the game does have a story. There's some interesting dialogue, there's boss battles, and there's a lot to do in this game. It's worth checking out. Next up we have Battle Gems, published by Artix Entertainment. This is a really awesome puzzle-based RPG. The game has tons of levels to go through. There's like over 9,000! So each level has a unique monster, most of which have funny pun-based names. So you match the gems to attack, to heal, or to use magic, or to make your pet attack. There's tons of equipment to buy and spells to get. The game is really funny, has lots of humor. It's a really good casual RPG with lots of content. Next up we have Soul Guardians Age of Midgard, published by ZQGame. This is a really cool online RPG. There's currently 2 classes to choose from. The combat is really cool. You control your character with a joystick, and there's a button to attack and skills to use. The fighting and effects look really cool, and it's really action-packed and a lot of fun. There's other players in this game. Once you reach level 10, you can play co-op with other players, meaning you can party with them and stuff. Really nice RPG to check out. Next up we have Summon Masters, published by BiCORE. Here's a fun 2D casual RPG. It's very similar to Hello Hero, except it's in 2D, so you can control a group of 5 characters, and there's a lot of characters to collect and upgrade. There's a lot of levels to go through, and you go through waves of enemies. Your characters automatically attack, but you can choose when to use skills. It's fun going through the levels and collecting new characters. It's an interesting casual RPG to check out. Next up we have Wind Up Night 2, published by Robot Invader. This is an endless runner where you play a knight and you run through obstacles. The graphics look cute and they're actually pretty good, and the game does run really smooth. You can jump, attack enemies, roll, and block falling objects. There's a lot of levels to go through. This game is easy to pick up and play, and it's one of the better endless runners out there. Next up we have Legend of Roland, published by Happy Mage. This is the same game as Fantasy Heroes, but with a new publisher. It's a really fun RPG. So you control a group of characters, and there's more characters to unlock along the way. You can drag your characters to move around, or tap to move and attack. There's skills to use, and the graphics are quite good. This game actually has a good story, and there's tons of character dialogue. There's lots of levels to go through, different monsters to fight. This is a fun RPG with lots of content. Next up we have Chien CS, published by CMN Online. I think this is a Vietnamese game, so it's not in English, but it doesn't really matter for this type of game. This is a cool online third-person shooter. The graphics are nice, and the game has 2 modes, free-for-all and team deathmatch. You can control your character with a joystick, and there's a button to shoot. The gameplay is pretty good. You can level up and buy new guns and clothes for your character. It's a nice online shooter. Next up we have Samurai SANTARO, published by PROPE. This is a really cool and more unique endless runner. You control someone on a horse, you can swipe up to jump and double jump, and you can tap enemies and targets to shoot at them. The graphics are fairly good, and there are a lot of different backgrounds and levels to go through. You can collect gold to upgrade your stats and skills. There are different skills to use, and there are some really cool boss battles. Next up we have Darkstone, published by Anuman. This is a really interesting RPG. It's very similar to Diablo. So you tap your character to move around, and there are NPCs to talk to. many of which are voice acted.
I sincerely hope you will find the ones who killed them in such a cowardly way.
And there's a lot of quests to get. You can control 2 characters, which is cool. You attack enemies by tapping them. It's like a hack and slash Diablo style RPG. There's a lot of places to go and dungeons to explore. The graphics don't look that good, but it's really worth checking out. Next up is Smash Hit, published by Mediocre. This is a really cool and kind of relaxing game where you smash stuff. So you just kind of automatically move forward, and you can throw balls at these cones and anything else in your way. Graphics look really nice, and the game has really nice physics and effects, beautiful environments. This game is really worth checking out. Next up we have Demon Avengers TD, published by WeMe Studio. Here's a tower defense game with really nice graphics. So there's lots of different maps, and you place towers to prevent enemies from going to the other side. In most of the maps, the enemies can actually come in many different directions, which adds more challenge to it. So you place towers, you can upgrade towers, you have some hero character you can move around. There's lots of different kinds of enemies, and it's a good tower defense game to check out.
You can't milk those!
Next up we have Tiny Dice Dungeon, published by Kongregate. This is a dice-based RPG. Graphics are 8-bit, but they still look pretty good. So the combat is turn-based. You go through levels and fight enemies by rolling a dice. So when you start out, your character has 2 dice, and the numbers you roll on the dice is how much damage you do. You can actually roll the dice as many times you want in one turn. But if you roll a 1, you miss and you lose your turn. So although you can roll as many times you want, you do have to play it safe, but it is an interesting RPG. There's lots of monsters, lots of levels, worth checking out. Next up we have Darklands, published by Bulkypix. Here's an interesting endless runner. The survival mode is free, where you just run on these randomly generated levels, where you can collect coins and upgrade your character and buy new equipment and stuff. There's also an adventure mode where there's actually a story and better levels that you have to pay 138 for. So you can swipe up to jump, swipe down to slide. You can hold down the screen with 2 fingers to stop or to block, and you tap to attack enemies. Interesting endless runner. Next up we have Aliens Drive Me Crazy, published by Rebel Twins. Aliens. Here's another game that's like an endless runner, so each level in this game is broken up into like 2 parts. In the first part you're driving a car, and you're automatically moving forward, but you can swipe up and down to move up and down, and the goal is to collect coins and smash everything in your way. The physics are decent, and then the second part you go in these towers, and the goal is to kill the enemies and rescue people. So again your character automatically moves, you just control him moving up and down. It's a unique and interesting game. Next up we have Clumsy Ninja, published by NaturalMotionGames. This game is kind of like a pet simulation where you take care of a ninja. It's actually really funny. The ninja's like a ragdoll and you can drag him around. I'm surprised that my ninja is still alive. So when you begin, your ninja is very clumsy and you can train him with a variety of different equipment, like trampolines and punching bags. You get experience by training him, and when he levels up he can get new belts. The graphics, animations, and physics are very nice in this game. Very fun game to check out. Next up we have Disco Zoo, published by NimbleBit. Graphic wise this game is 8-bit, so it doesn't look that good, but it's actually a fun and addictive time waster. You own a zoo, and you can rescue and collect animals by matching them up to get the amount you need on each map. There's a lot of different animals and new ones to unlock. And then you can place them at your zoo and watch them. And generate gold. You can have disco parties to generate more gold and watch people dance. It's a simple but addicting time waster. Next up is RunBot, published by Marvelous Games. This is an endless runner with some cool parkour moves. There's 3 lanes that you can swipe to move between, and like all endless runners you have to avoid the obstacles. However, this is one of the better looking endless runners. The graphics are really nice, and so are the animations. Sometimes your character jumps off the building and then you control yourself by tilting your device around. It's a casual but cool endless runner. You can also tap enemies to shoot at them. Next up we have Stickman Basketball, published by DJinWorks EU. This game is no NBA 2K14, but it is a casual basketball game with decent gameplay. This game has a couple of different teams and you can play season mode, can move around with a joystick, and pass and shoot. The gameplay is simple, but it is very smooth and it is kind of fun. You can shoot 3-pointers, 360 no-scope slam dunk, interesting casual basketball game.
I'm a fire believer!
Next is School Idol Festival, published by K-Lab. Here's an interesting music-based game. So in this game you can create a music group, and there is a story, there's lots of dialogue. So the actual gameplay is when you perform live shows. So it shows your performers here, and circles come down toward the performers, and you have to tap the character at the right time when the circle goes over them. So it's like one of those music-based games. After each live show you can unlock new characters to join you. It's an interesting music-based casual game. Next up we have Dragon Coins, published by Sega of America. Here's a casual RPG with a fairly unique combat system. Instead of having a puzzle combat system, it has one of these coin dings that you might find in an arcade somewhere. So you have 5 characters on the bottom and they'll attack the monster when they receive a certain number of coins. So you have a limited number of coins to throw down, and this thing has to push the coins toward your characters. Killing and attacking enemies generate more coins. There's lots of levels to go through, lots of characters to collect. There's an element system where certain elements do more damage to other elements. It's an addicting casual RPG. Next up we have Chaos Drive, published by a Japanese company. Here's a pretty cool card-based game. It's kinda like an RPG. There's chapters to go through and there is a story and character dialogue. So you go through waves of enemies just by tapping on them until you get to a boss battle. And then you can actually use your cards, although the combat is still automated. But there is a lot of content in this game. There's guild battles, PvP, there's tons of cards to collect, and the artwork is really good. Deadass. And so are the boop physics. It's a fun, casual, card-based RPG to check out. Next up we have PES Manager, published by Konami. Here's a football/soccer manager game. So it's one of those games where you can create your own team and collect and train players, and then you can face off against other teams. You can't actually control it. You can only watch them playing against each other. So all the games are automated, although it's still interesting to watch. So it's a game where you collect players, build your team, play against other teams, and watch your players to see how they do. If you like these football manager games, this might interest you. Next up we have Zombie Diary 2 Evolution, published by Mountain Lion. Here's a side-scrolling zombie shooter. You have buttons to move your character left and right, and a button to attack and switch weapons. There's a lot of missions to go on with different objectives. Some where you have to kill a certain number of zombies, reach a destination, or defend some area. There's new guns to buy and upgrade, and there's also new characters to buy. It's a cool side-scrolling zombie shooter. Next up we have Chaos Fighter, published by Coco Entertainment International. This game is like Pocky Ninja if anyone has ever played that game. So in this game there's lots of levels to go through and quests to do. The combat is automated, so your character automatically fights and chooses when to use skills. Although the combat is automated, it's still interesting to watch what happens, and it's fun leveling up your character, collecting new characters, each of which have different stats and attributes, and there's also new skills to unlock. It's a kind of casual but fun game to check out. Next up we have Mini Warriors, published by Trinity Interactive. Here's a cool war battle game. There's a lot of heroes to add to your army, and the heroes are like different units. And then there's a lot of stages where you fight against the enemy, so the units go head on and attack each other. It's pretty cool to watch, although the battles are automated, so you can't control where the units move. You can summon some units with your morale. Overall, this is a casual but really cool war type game. Next up we have Mutants Genetic Gladiators, published by Kobojo. Here's an interesting game where you can create mutants by crossbreeding. You can crossbreed your creatures to make new ones, and you fight against enemies in lots of different stages. The combat is turn-based, and you can control your characters, so you choose which attack to use and which enemy to attack. The animations and attacks look kinda cool, and you can also build new structures and stuff in your lab. And there's a lot of mutants to collect and crossbreed. Next up we have Robots Love Ice Cream, published by Yopa Games. Here's a cute casual game with colorful graphics. So you play some kind of ice cream truck and you can move around different planets shooting aliens. So the robots want to steal your ice cream and you gotta prevent them from doing that. So there's different weapons you can buy, and there's lots of levels and different types of enemies. It's a fun casual game to check out. Aliens. And last we have Flappy 3D, published by Insomniac Studios. Wanted to play Flappy Bird in 3D? Well now you can. Flap your way through a 3D environment. The controls are slightly different, you kinda have to tap more. It's a fun casual game to check out. Flappy Bird. Anyway, that's all for now. Make sure you guys subscribe for more videos, and thanks for watching.